In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to graph a quadratic function. Because this is coming out of section 9.3, we're just going to do 3 things to get our function, and eventually you'll be able to add on to things you know about a graph. But before we start, you want to make sure that your function is in standard form. You can see that the y is not alone over here, so that 4x, we just have to get to the other side. So we can go ahead and subtract 4x from both sides. That's a 4. So we are dealing with y equals, and then just make sure you write it in standard form, x squared minus 4x plus 4. Alright, so this is what we're going to graph. So when we graph, the first thing you want to find is your axis of symmetry. I'll abbreviate that, axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry, if you remember, uses the formula x equals negative b over 2a. So our b value is a negative 4. I'll put a b right below it. So we do a negative, and then you're plugging in a negative 4. Do you see that negative negative right there? Look out for that. Over 2 times our a value is whatever's in front of the x squared, which in this case is just a 1. So the negative negative 4 becomes positive 4 over 2, which is 2. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 2. We can go ahead and put that right on our graph. Let me actually zoom into the graph. Remember, your axis of symmetry is a vertical line. So I'm just going to draw a vertical line at x equals 2 right here. So there's our axis of symmetry. So the graph will be symmetrical around this line. Half the parabola will be on the left and half the parabola will be on the right of that. Alright, so going back to what we're doing over here, the next thing we're going to find is the vertex. So when you find your vertex, if you remember, the x value is that negative b over 2a, and then you have your y. Well, we just did all of the work for the negative b over 2a, and we got 2 as the answer right here. So we already know that in our vertex, the x value is a 2, and so to get the y value, we just plug it back in. So we'll do y equals, and again, I'm looking back up to, this is the function we're graphing. So we're going to plug in a 2 for all those x's. 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 4. Do your exponent first. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8 plus 4. Oops, that's a 4. And 4 minus 8 is negative 4. And negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So let me see, 4 minus 8, negative 4. Yep. Right, so we got 2, 0. So we can go ahead and put that on our graph. Our vertex is at 2, 0, which is right here. Oops. So there's the vertex. Alright, so the last thing that we can do for our graph is get the y-intercept. Now y-intercept, the way that we find a y-intercept is you plug in 0 for x. If you look at this function up here, if you put a 0 in for this x and a 0 in for this x, those two terms cancel away, and what you're left with is just this c value right here. So in the end, our y-intercept will always be the c value. Remember, it is an ordered pair, 0, comma, and then that c value is 4. Mathematically found by plugging in a 0 for the x, but with parabolas you will end up with that c value every single time. So we can go ahead and plot 0, 4 on our graph. 0, 4 will be right here. Oops, right there. Alright, so we don't have, it doesn't even look like a parabola right now, it's just 2 points. So what we're going to do is we're going to use symmetry to get the other point on our graph. So the vertex is set, and because the graph is symmetrical about this point, I know it's got to look something like this. this left side will mirror the right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the y-intercept. You see how it's 2 spaces away from the axis of symmetry? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2 spaces to the right of the axis of symmetry, and that's where the symmetrical point will go. And if you look at it, you can tell that it looks symmetrical. It should look like a normal parabola. And we can go ahead and draw this in. And that is how we get our parabola. The other thing that we could put on here are the x-intercepts, but that comes later in the chapter.